Welcome, everyone. It is game week against the Kangaroo Zipperoos, Dan. So here we are, best damn pod in the land. Blitz to 500 is full on, full go. Dan and I checked right before we got on. We are at 401. So
Nice.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Yeah,
Appreciate you.
Thanks, everybody. We really appreciate the hell out of you. And, we've said this many times. We're just kind of doing this for grins and giggles. And but, man, we're having a lot of fun doing it. So it wouldn't be fun without the folks that have decided to watch us on a regular basis and comment and everything. So we appreciate you.
Yeah, we have some really just great people that follow our show and retweet us. And so we'll get to your questions. I promise. I have them listed out and ready. But just a reminder, if we hit that 500 prior to kickoff against Akron, we will give away a $50 gift card. We'll do it with a randomizer. We'll record it for you. You'll be able to see it. So I want to give that away, Dan. I want to give the gift card away. I want somebody to have it. I want somebody to get some free new Buckeye stuff. So, I'm really looking forward to football this weekend, though. And one of the reasons is our best damn recap show. So after the games, and even this week, even though it probably won't be a whole lot of a game, we're going to go live for 10, 15, 20 minutes after the game. You can find us on our channel and jump on, ask us questions, throw some comments, make fun of us, whatever. But we're going to be doing a best damn recap. So I'm looking forward to those after games because it just means we have football games.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it too. It'll be fun. I know there's a few other folks that are doing it, but we'll put ours out there and see what happens. And, again, we're just doing this for fun. So.
Yeah, I mean, I can't promise anything, but there might be we may be able to do some special guests hop on our show and all the good stuff, man. All the good stuff. So, as I promised last week, we tossed out our tweet and Instagram story for you guys to drop us some questions. So we'll get to that shortly. Firstly, though, Dan. The NOA.
The NOA, and more importantly, the elephant in the room. Today's news of the day is the documentary, and I need to make a statement.
Okay, let's do it.
I haven't watched it entirely yet, but I've seen enough of the clips and the transcripts and everything else like that. And man, I think I've been wrong about this.
Oh, okay.
I think that Connor Stalions was just a boy with a dream. And he wanted to win for Michigan in the worst way for his mother. And he was just trying to, make that happen. Yeah. He was a boy with a dream. And, he had he was so inspired that he had his 1,000-page manifesto. And I no longer find that creepy. I hope my kids are inspired enough one day to put their thoughts on paper and go to all ends of the length of earth to cheat. I mean, come on, man.
Yeah.
What a clown. He couldn't even say with a straight face. First of all, you got Dave Portnoy on there saying, Connor told me they cheated. I love it. Connor told me he was on the sidelines at CMU. He told me. And then Connor's sitting there and saying, that guy doesn't even look at me with a shit-eating grin on his face. Excuse my language. There's no other way to say that. It's exactly what I thought it was. It was going to be, I did what everybody else does. I just did it better. The guy got a game ball after the 2022 Big Ten championship from Harbaugh.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't think Harbaugh knew who the guy really was, right?
Right. Yeah.
Oh my God. It's so hilarious. So, back to the NOA. What are your thoughts?
Well, I put it out in a tweet. I was really excited that Ryan Day's brother, along with the Catapult employees, were able to hand deliver it to Ward Manuel with a bacon cheeseburger. So I loved it. You know what? It is what it is. It is what we thought it was. I think that we'll be able to actually read it at some point this week, basically from what I've been able to gather from Nicole Auerbach's tweets. It sounds like we'll be able to see the NCAA, what they had to say. Now, obviously, we know it doesn't include punishment, so there's that. But one of the other things I wanted to say about it was I really hope, I genuinely hope that, Desmond Howard keeps the same energy that he had in 2011 when some players got in trouble for trading their own property for tattoos, by the way. So, you can read it right here. The Big Ten used to be about Midwest values, good morals, blue-collar, hardworking people. With what happened at Ohio State, that whole image is tarnished. There's people in other conferences that are like, wow, what in the hell was going on in Columbus and for how long? I'm always happy to see anybody who cheats the system get caught and get out of the game. So I hope you keep that same energy, Desmond Howard, because they've been caught for multiple years.
He is such a clown.
I know, dude.
Such a clown. And I want to think that he's smart enough to know what he's doing with these statements, but I don't.
No.
I think he's an idiot.
Yeah.
And, here's the difference between what happened then and now is we owned it.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, Jim Tressel tried to cover it up. He knew about it for longer and he paid the price.
Yep.
And there's none of us sitting here saying that he shouldn't have been fired.
Nope.
He broke the rules. Now, let me preface that. There's nobody on this show saying that. He broke the rules. He covered it up to protect his players. Jim Tressel did not know it was happening until he did. And then when he did, he covered it up. He tried to prevent it from getting out. And that is against the rules. And he paid dearly for that. For 14 karat gold plated pendants being traded for ink on your arm.
Yep.
I mean,
yeah. At the time with what it was illegal. And I think, I'm sure that if you go back and look at my Twitter history, I probably said something about Tressel falling on the sword, for the university and the players, but he obviously covered it up. He obviously knew. Really doesn't change my vision of who Jim Tressel is. I still think he was just trying to protect his guys, but doesn't make it right. So, from a standpoint of the NOA, because it's been beat to death. I think the most interesting thing for me was the timing of the release of it. And we said all along it had to come out before the Connor Stallions mockumentary. And that's true. We were correct on that. I didn't have a source telling me that. I just knew that the NCAA, that was just going to how they were going to have to operate with this to help control the narrative a little bit. But the fact remains that this is big. And if you were Michigan, Dan, I guess, would you wait the full 90 to respond? Because they've dragged everything else out. Why would they not wait?
Yeah, that's one of those things where it's just pretty standard operating procedure to wait it out. Now, what could be going on behind the scenes is they could start to talk about a negotiated settlement.
Mm-hmm.
But I get the feeling that if any vacated wins are on the table, or not recognizing any of the Big Ten titles or the Natty, if any of that's on the table, I don't see Michigan agreeing to any of that. And I see them taking it all the way to the infractions committee. I don't see them suing, number one. And if there is a negotiated settlement, that throws the idea of them suing out the window.
Yeah.
But somebody posted a glorious video the other day, and I posted it on my profile or in my feed, of going back and forth between a clip of Michigan talking about fighting Harbaugh's suspension to
I saw it. Yeah,
to them accepting it. And it just went back and forth with like 8 or 9 examples of fighting it, accepting it, fighting it, accepting it. So, I mean, I did catch a little tidbit today that one of the new things that came out that wasn't in the draft or reported in the draft was that they were looking for a 3-year suspension for Stallions.
Mm.
And I think, if true, I think that could foreshadow a little bit of the theme of what the sanctions are going to be like. I think you can see, you cheated for 3 years. We can prove that you cheated for 3 years. Therefore, the penalties are going to be 3 years long. There's going to be 3 years of vacated wins. There's going to be 3-year suspensions. There's going to be a 3-year postseason ban. I mean, I've stated in no uncertain terms that there will be vacated wins. There's no way that there won't be. I just don't understand it.
Vacated or forfeited? So I'm on the forfeiture side.
I'm for the forfeiture side as well because it gives the win to the other team. Yep. We'll see. The standard is vacated.
Okay.
But there's terms in there that suggest lack of institutional control, and that's always been the absolute worst thing.
Yeah.
So we'll see. A lot of people, especially on the Michigan side, like to point to the way the Kansas basketball thing was handled, and nothing really came of that. Which is interesting.
Yeah.
It's certainly a point worth bringing up, but I don't know enough about that to know. I do know that Louisville basketball had their national championship is no longer recognized because they got strippers for kids.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I mean, my favorite phrase, we beat this horse to the point that it's glue. It's about to become super glue.
Yeah, it is. And, we'll see what comes of it. They have enough to do whatever the heck they feel like doing, the NCAA. So we are where we are with it. Something else, Dan, and we have some recruiting news too that dropped right as we got on. So but yesterday and the day before, and you guys know, we'll go back to Cam Babb. Cam Babb had a bunch of injuries, and during that time, he found his faith, and he talked about that openly. And and there was that super emotional touchdown in the corner from C.J. Stroud, with both his knees strapped up like he was RoboCop, and we all talked about things being bigger than football. And so, last couple of days, some of the football players, we saw them arrive with T-shirts that said, what was it? Jesus wins or won. And then people getting baptized. And I'm not going to pull up the screenshot of the people that had some things to say. I originally was going to. The one guy deleted it. There is a whole lot more to life than football, folks. We live in Ohio. I talked to my wife about this morning. My wife was concerned about the heat because we have football practice tonight. And I said, you are in the birthplace of football in Ohio. And I had to remind myself that, number one, my son's in first grade. I'm coaching first and second graders. And I was getting ready to get on the show when I started to think about this with what was happening with the baptisms. And this person basically said, they should be focused on Akron. What are we doing? And then someone else parroted that tweet, and there were a few of those. And it just reminded me of, I think it was Earl Bruce's funeral. Someone approached one of the football players and said, in that 84 game, you cost me a championship. And this is just, some dude. Guys, I need you to take a breath and really think about what you're saying. And you can find what I believe in my Twitter profile. I don't hide it. What those kids are doing, they're doing to change lives forever. And a natty is fleeting. And I'll leave it at that. But
yeah, let's take faith out of it for a moment. And let's talk about what we did not see on campus. Was it last night or 2 nights ago?
Yeah, I think it was 2 nights ago.
Let's talk about what we did not see. We did not see anything burning.
Yeah.
We did not see anything getting vandalized. We did not see anybody getting hurt. We did not see anybody getting injured or killed, for that matter. We did not see the campus destroyed or buildings looted and windows broken. We saw nothing that was bad. And whether you believe in what they were gathering for or not, that's what makes this country what it is. It's literally the freedom to express yourself the way that you want to, as long as it doesn't harm other people. And that's the essence of what the foundation of this country stands for.
Mm-hmm.
So it just, man, have some perspective.
Yeah.
You know, like,
I just thought it was cool. You know, college football players helping, you know, people who were curious or, you know, whatever the case may be, you know, and I think that at the end they ended up with like 10,000 people there, like in singing songs. And, you know, we may lose a subscriber or two over this, Dan, but it is what it is.
I bet here's something. I bet some of the people that commented against what they were doing. Hold on a second.
Yeah. It's
I swear to God, I think I had a bug in my ear. The people that were commenting against it, I wouldn't be shocked if there's, you know, some of the same people that are in Twitch or Discord with like Denzel Burke playing video games, and they've got no problem with him playing video games and not preparing for the game.
Yeah.
You know, it's just, it's silly.
Well, we all know there's life outside of practice and game film, and anybody that's been around the sport, you have some free time, guys. I mean, you know, anyways, I need to get off of that thing. It bothered me.
I mean, why not follow them around campus and say, why are you going to class? You got a game to think about.
Right.
Like, come on, man.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you know, they have study table, right, guys, that you have to go to. It's a requirement. So we'll leave it there. But so right as we were getting on, Dan, I want to touch on recruiting, and then we're going to.
Yeah. What happened? You caught me off guard with that. What happened?
So Max Torres dropped a crystal ball for us to get Phillip Bell, the wide receiver.
I will mildly be surprised based on what we know about his personal life.
Yeah. It'd be curious. I thought he would end up at SC, certainly.
Yeah, but man, SC, they're in a prove it mode right now, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, they've got to show. It's not unlike what we were a couple years ago with our defense.
Yep.
Right? So they're probably going to need a year or two to show that they've turned things around.
Yeah, I'm Phillip Bell was one of the ones I thought we could add. I thought he could be somebody that could come in with this class, with this 2025 class, and help. And he's got all the tools. And so it wouldn't surprise me if he commits to Ohio State, especially since Ohio State swung back on Jerome Miles out of Corner Canyon, the 5-star. So who, by the way, shout out to Corner Canyon for beating IMG. Anyways, yeah.
It was a big win on the national level. I think we saw Devin Brown's dad posted something about, shout out to Utah football.
Right. And then another crystal ball for Aiden Harris, 2026 edge. So two nice things in a row, Dan, in the recruiting world. And then
that Aiden Harris kid, man,
he's a stud.
Ooh, that whole team, that Weddington team.
Yeah,
they handled Providence Day, David Sanders' team, and the defensive line dominated.
Yeah, I saw a couple interesting clips of Sanders, and it was I haven't seen him get beat very much. So but he did get beat in that game.
One of the clips that freaking idiot Andrew Smith posted about,
I know,
and it made it look like Sanders got beat. Like his guy, he didn't get beat. Sanders slid out, and the guard and the other guy got beat. It was silly. Just let's be let's be honest about stuff, folks.
Yep. So because we're talking recruiting, I'm gonna get into some of our questions. And so we'll do this. I'm going to start off with Mike Wazowski. So Mike is a supporter of the show. He asks asks a lot of great questions. He's always curious about what's going on with the program, and retweets us and supports us and comments. So thank you, Mike. He would like to know: do we know any more about the Darnell Autry flip, or have we cooled on him? And what do we think about Tavian St. Clair's comments post-game about DeBose? Mike, we have not cooled on Autry. They're still talking to him.
I've cooled on Autry.
I think the smoke has died down a little bit. If we can get him back on campus in season, you may see that percolate back up. But they still want him. They still, but I have a hard time seeing that kid leave Alabama. If he does, it will be for Ohio State.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. He made a complete 180 on the type of stuff he was posting. So I don't know if that means he got some incentive or whatever. But Auburn's been on fire.
Yeah,
on the recruiting trail. I mean, they got to hold on to him.
Yeah,
if they lay an egg. Now, I think Hugh Freeze, take the personal stuff away, is a damn good football coach.
He's a heck of a football coach. Yeah.
He got the kid from Liberty, right?
Yep.
Or maybe he didn't.
No, he ended up going back. No.
Yeah. He got somebody. Yeah. He's got somebody a quarterback. Or does he still have Peyton Thorne?
I'm not sure who their quarterback.
You know what? I think he's still got Peyton Thorne, and if that's the case, then this recruiting class could blow up.
Yeah. So and then he would be. I think he'd be the 6th commit on that defensive line on top of everything else. So there's a lot to that. But I don't believe that the staff has cooled on him. He's kind of a one of one, for that interior defensive line. We've got some nice players, but he's a different type of player.
Yeah.
Again, we use that term a lot, the one of one, but there aren't a whole lot of other guys built like him that move like him that can play 1 or 3 in the middle. So, yeah, I mean, I want him. If he'll commit, I want him. But no, as far as the Micah DeBose thing, all signs, and Dan, I'll kick this over to you. So I reconfirmed this with Berm, but all signs indicate that Ohio State has not stopped talking to Micah DeBose.
Yeah, no. So here's what I know. He came to Ohio State for his OV, and there was a lot of chatter about him possibly being a silent commit.
Mm-hmm.
His family's from Cleveland. He grew up in Cleveland until he was 10 or 11 years old. To provide some perspective, I was born and lived in Brooklyn, Ohio, right on the edge of Cleveland until I was 13. And then I moved out west. Like, I couldn't have moved much farther. I moved to Arizona. But Cleveland sports and Ohio State sports were in my blood and have never left it. And I was only 13. This kid lived in Ohio until he was 10 or 11, lived in Cleveland, and still has a bunch of family there. So the chatter was that he may have been a silent. I know people felt really, really, really good about him when he did the OV at Ohio State. Then, like 6 days later, he had his OV at Bama and he committed. But what you need to know is Bama is the exact opposite of Ohio State on OVs. They are high pressure. They're like boiler room, penny stock, high pressure. You need to commit right now to the kids on their OVs. And you saw that flurry of commitments that they got over the summer during OV season as a result of that. So I think there's a lot to it. I think he's still in play.
Okay. All right. I got the clip.
Things at us, just delayed blitzes and, just move to the right and get in space.
I thought
I love being in the shoe. There's nothing like it. So every experience I get to be up in there, I'm going to be in there for sure.
Busy summer for you. Went to a couple Ohio State camps, went on the 7-on-7 circuit. What have you kind of learned from both being able to compete in 7-on-7 and learning from Ohio State?
Yeah, really it was a big confidence booster for me. I mean, there's not I didn't really get to go to a lot of those like top showcase camps, early on in my career and things like that. So being able to go there and perform and just, do and showcase what I've learned here and from the coaches at Ohio State was really big for me. And I think that I had a good summer and, just looking to build on that here in the fall.
A lot of Ohio State fans are hoping to see some offensive line commitments rolling pretty soon. Is there any players in particular you're trying to work on for peer recruiting?
Yeah, with Sanders going to Tennessee, it's been all on Javon McFadden. And I've been working on him like crazy. And then also just keep your eyes up for Micah DeBose as well. We've been working on him, just getting an interior guy as well. So, be ready for that because we got some things cooking up there. So,
how often would you say you talk to Micah?
It's about every other day, I'd say. I give him a little break every once in a while because I try and talk to him a lot. But, really just I try and let him know, like, this is home for you. And he loved it, being on his visit. So just trying to talk him into coming here and blocking for me. So,
obviously, last go around for you and your senior.
So he's obviously working to grab him. I shared the clip on my timeline as well, but yeah, he's an Ohio, grew up in Ohio, Tavian St. Clair, great representation for the Ohio State University as far as trying to reach out and grab kids. I would not be at all surprised. So Mike Wazowski, if DeBose ended up at Ohio State by signing day. It wouldn't shock me one bit. What about you, Dan?
I'd be surprised, but I wouldn't be shocked.
Okay.
But I'm kind of, I think it's 50-50. I don't think it's dead just because he committed to Bama. I think a lot of people thought it was dead. So I guess the main point that I want to impress is that it's not dead. I mean, we're still going after him.
No, it seems like he and St. Clair have a really good relationship too, which is interesting. Like for him not being committed here, it seems like Tavian and him, even when they were on campus together, like they spent time together. So it's there's still hope. But 3 guys in the offensive line class now with the commitment of Javon McFadden. So if you could add DeBose, definitely helps. I know that everybody's kind of, waiting to see what happens there. So, all right. So Dan, one of our biggest supporters, like fantastic supporter of our show, always shares, always likes, always hyping us up, always asking great questions. Emily Gates. So Emily, thank you. Like you are fantastic. We really appreciate, always trying to drive our subscriber count. She would like to know how we feel like our passing game is going to look. So Dan, I'm going to hand that off to you to answer first, but she'd like to know what you think our passing game looks like.
Emily has a thirst for knowledge and to learn football, like unlike I've seen in a long time. So it's really cool. So we appreciate the heck out of her. Listen, I think that, between Ryan and Chip, and Chip we trust, I think that our passing game, it's not going to look like CJ, or Dwayne. I think I can see him somewhere in between a JT and a Justin Fields type of a vibe.
Yeah.
The main takeaway from that is it's going to be light years better than last year. And that's not a knock on Honda. It's just a cumulative impact of a lot of different things. The offensive line is a year older. We brought in Seth, way more experience. You got Chip at the helm. His run game and his run scheme is going to open that passing game up. I think that, obviously all eyes are on Will right now. I've said it before when I saw in person. I mean, I think he's really, really good, 20 yards or less in between the numbers. And I have confidence that Chip will dial up, some shots downfield that are easy.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be there when we need to be there, when it needs to be there. I am still concerned about a downfield passing attack coming from behind. to win a game.
Very fair. Very fair. Dan, that's an accurate analysis. I would say, in response to some tweets yesterday, Sam Block tweeted out that he thought, I know, I'm just going to mention this, like Will was going to have 4,800 yards and 51 passing touchdowns. And the fact of the matter is, if that happens, something has gone horribly, horribly wrong. There's no reason that Will should be throwing any more than 30 times a game. We shouldn't really need to be in that kind of a shootout with the type of running game that we have. And that's not just about Q or Trey. That includes James Peoples and Will running the ball along with Brandon Ennis and Emeka Egbuka. So there's on no planet should that happen, unless you're down to, me as running the football for you. So, as far as the passing attack, I expect it to be what you mentioned, something like JT, and now Justin Fields did have a pretty good downfield ball, ask Clemson, in 2020, but I'm putting him at like 2,800 to 3,100 yards, probably, 25 touchdowns, 30 touchdowns. He doesn't have to do that. Like we don't need to do that. It's that simple. Like there's no reason that he needs to throw for 4,500 yards.
Yeah. To put some things in perspective, let's look at 2019. Jock he broke this down really well the other day, and it actually resulted in me having to correct myself. In the past, I've said that, even in 2019, when we ran for like 3,400 yards, we still only ran the ball 49% of the time. That's based on yardage.
Yeah.
Okay. If you actually look at the number of plays, it was like 60-something% run plays.
Yeah.
And that was without Chip Kelly. I mean, Justin threw for less than 3,300 yards that year. And we ran for like 3,500. We were incredibly balanced.
Yep.
We should not have to throw, because of the longer season. Can I see him getting, mid to high 3,000s?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm going to be less enamored with the gaudy stats this year than I will be with what the game plan looks like and how the pass game complements the run game.
Yep. How to keep the chains moving and score.
Yeah.
Score in the red zone. So thanks for the question, Emily, and your support, truly. So Jason Garrison, another just great friend of the show, always retweets us, always retweeting the show when it's out, appreciate you a lot, always interacts with us. Also, Jason, I'm really sorry about your dog, man. That's a tough situation, and it sucks, and I think we've all been through it, and it's a miserable thing. So we're here for you, man. So I wanted to mention, he has his own storm chasing channel, which is really cool, on YouTube. So if you guys want, if you're into that sort of thing, my kid loves to watch like tornado chasers. So Jason does that. So but he'd like to know, with all the talk of who will win the Natty, who out of Ohio State, Georgia, and Oregon has the best supporting cast? I'm thinking like coaching. So hopefully I got that right.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's pretty even. When I first saw the question, I'm like, okay, there's going to be an obvious answer there.
Yeah.
But I think it's pretty even. I mean, Kirby gets the benefit of the doubt because he's 2-0 in the Natty rather than 1-1 because of a missed field goal. A lot of people don't realize that, like, Ryan's accomplishments in his first 5 years are eerily similar to Kirby's first 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
As a matter of fact, his overall win percentage was significantly better. But same number of conference titles, Natty appearances, losses to the rival, that kind of thing. I think that I would put our staff up against anybody at this point.
Yeah.
With the addition of Chip as the OC, it's just a game changer. Yeah.
Yeah. I was just looking down the list of assistants too. So you go down, so you got Chip and Knowles, and you got Hartline and Laurinaitis. I mean, you look at, and then you get Guerreri and then you get Walton and gosh, how did I do this? The running backs coach, not Alfrod.
Locke.
Yeah, Coach Locke. Sorry.
Michael Duncan Clark.
Yeah, but you think about it. Hartline played in the NFL. Walton played in the NFL. Laurinaitis played in the NFL. Laurinaitis is a college football Hall of Famer. Chip Kelly, Jim Knowles, like the experience. And gosh, I there's a lot there. I'm not saying Georgia doesn't have it either. Like, don't. I'm not. I don't think Oregon has the depth of NFL coaching talent, I guess, coaches that played in the NFL, but because he included Oregon in that group, and then Bama has some good coaches, but I think it's all relative too.
I mean, you're splitting hairs with a lineup like that. You got to do it
though. You got to prove it on the field. So
yeah, I mean, I think if you, sorry to interrupt you, I think if you rank those coaches, it would go Kirby. I'm being objective here.
Okay.
I think you can flip Ryan and DeBoer between 2 and 3. And I think Lanning's 4th just because he's been there 2 years. I mean, everything looks good.
Yeah.
But, he's lost all his big games for the most part in his first 3 years. He's 0-3 against Washington. It's really shiny. Like though. Oregon's really shiny. Like Oregon is the ADHD darling of college football right now. It's the new shiny object, right? Yeah. Those people with the ADHD. I'm one of them, right? You're sitting there in a meeting, and then all of a sudden you see like a shiny light, and you're like, "Oh, shiny light!" Like, that's Oregon right now.
Okay, fair enough. So, Jason, hope that answers your question, man. Thank you again for your support, and continue to move forward, man. I know it's hard when you lose a family member like that, and to me, dogs are family. So, Luke, our friend Luke, he came on the show. He has his own podcast, so the Power 5 Tailgate. Please subscribe. He does a great job. They cover
such
everything.
A good show.
Oh, yep. It is. They cover everything. They do such a good job. So he's a pod friend. We enjoy chatting with him, and so thank you. And he's always retweets us and throws us support. So Luke had some bold statements. He said, "Firstly, Dan, Miami wins the ACC?" ?
I agree.
Okay.
I agree. All right. I think Cam Ward's a difference maker.
All right. Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. I have Clemson winning it. So, we'll see.
It does feel like the table's set for a Dabu comeback a little bit, and that irks me.
Their schedule's light too.
Yeah.
It's either that if Clemson doesn't win it, I think North Carolina does. So I tell you he's not going to win the.
I tell you he's not going to win the ACC.
Florida State.
Yes, sir.
They look bad.
Yeah.
The defense couldn't stop the run. And we know how that goes. We've lived it. Colorado does not go to a bowl game. Yeah, I 100% agree.
I mean, what do you need? 6 games?
Yeah, you have to be 6 games.
Colorado's one. So here's my bold take for the year.
Yeah.
I've posted this a couple times on people's timelines, and I think it might be the boldest of all bolds. I predict that Colorado will forfeit a game this year because of a player mutiny at some point. I think it's a dumpster fire waiting to happen. I think the first sign of any sort of turmoil or not winning, I think it's prime, no pun intended, to blow up.
Yeah.
And listen, man, that's not hate. Like, I'm a huge Deion fan, man. Like, I loved Deion as a player. I loved Deion on TV. I love listening to him talk. But man, there's just so many questionable things as to the way he's handling things as a head coach at not even a huge program.
Yeah, it's hard, like, to see what he's done with the way that his take on the transfer portal and like how he treats the kids. It's been I don't know what the word is. I mean, football's cutthroat anyway. But these are kids, Yeah. I mean, once Mike Norvell goes 7-5 this year at Florida State, Deion's going to go coach there anyway. So whatever.
I don't know, man. If they don't make a bowl game at Colorado, why would you hire him?
Pizzazz.
I don't know, man.
I'm just having fun, man. Which coach, so this is also from Luke, is on the hot seat, and which coach will outperform expectations? So, I think we just hit on Deion's on the hot seat. I think Mike Norvell's on the hot seat. I think Dabo's seat is probably pretty warm. To say that, I don't know. There's probably a few. Lincoln Riley, Sarkisian. There's pressure to win no matter what. If Texas doesn't make the 12-team playoff, you think they keep him around?
Yeah, but I don't. Yes, I don't think Sark's on the hot seat. He just went to the playoff last year. And he's got a great recruiting class. I think the expectations are really, really high.
That's what I was getting at.
Yeah, but I don't see him being on the hot
Texas
seat.
Football. Texas football is just like Ohio State guys.
Yeah, I could see things getting uncomfortable for him based on their schedule in the SEC.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, to answer that question for me, and we've already touched on it once, but I'm going to give you the same answer for both questions: hot seat and outperform expectations. And the hot seat, I don't think he's on the hot seat with his administration, but in the eyes of the college football world, I do think Dabo is on a hot seat, and I think Dabo will outperform.
Okay.
I think that they'll, be 10-2.
Let me throw one more at you. What about James Franklin? What if they go 9-3 and
I don't know, man. He's got pictures of somebody.
Okay. What if they go 9-3? They miss the playoff. They're the number 13 team in the country at the end of the year.
I don't know. Who do you go and get? A Matt Rule, maybe? He's a Penn State guy. I don't know. I think 9-3 would be a disappointment with their schedule. I can see the boosters getting, but man, like Penn State, like that whole Penn State world's they've just gotten comfortable.
Yeah.
With, being 3A or 3B in the conference.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know who they would go get. I thought maybe like a young coach, somebody different. Trace McSorley, maybe bring him in. I don't know. He had a lot of moxie, according to Brett Musburger. So Sean,
Brett Musburger probably liked his girlfriend more than he liked him.
Yeah,
probably saw her in the stands,
dude. Today's kids have no idea how horny Brett Musburger is. Dude, I swear.
There's that one clip that's going around that.
Oh yeah, I've seen that one too. But he like. I remember it was the one with AJ McCarron's girlfriend. That one was a little uncomfortable even. So, but yeah, so Sean, aka Buckeye Sean on Twitter, good friend, always, appreciate him a lot. He always has some hot takes too. I enjoy him. Just his Twitter feed in general. But, he said, we have a center, a guard, and a 5-star tackle. I'm assuming he means Carter Lowe. So fringe 5-star. Are we going to say the offensive line recruiting is okay now? And I'm just gonna mute my microphone, Dan, and I'm gonna let you talk.
No, it's not okay. Like, if our class ended with that, would you be happy? No, that would be a problem. And it's not who we've got to this point that is the issue with Justin Fry. It's the approach that he is implementing that is concerning.
Yeah.
But you have to understand, like, we get feedback from players that want to be here, that are very highly rated, that just don't hear from him. Like, I don't think Justin Fry is good at the salesmanship part of recruiting. and that is my criticism with him. I think he has done a really, really good, if not underrated, job of development. I think he's a really good offensive line coach. There's a part of, listen, in sales, people buy from people they like and they trust. And I don't know how likable Justin Fry is on the recruiting trail based on feedback that we've got. And I don't know. And he said as much last week, man, like I'm going to continue my evaluation based approach. And, he's basically saying that he's going to keep, few offers and hoping for a high return, but it only takes 1 year of missing with that. Like if our class ended with those 3 guys right now, you need to break this down. Are those 3 guys really good gets? I like all 3 of them. I love the attitude of Cook. I love the attitude of McFadden. I think Carter Lowe is a future first-round draft pick. All 3 of those guys are good gets. But if we only get 3 guys in our offensive line, that's a problem. And right now, we have nobody else that's an obvious get. We are working at this point on flipping people.
Yep. So let me just say, Carter Lowe will be your starting right tackle in 2026. He'll redshirt next year, but he'll be your starting right tackle in 2026. And one of the Armstrong twins, Devontae, will be your starting left tackle. But that's my bold P. But yeah, would I be okay with it? I mean, I have to be. Like, we are where we are with it. I don't love it. I would, like I said, if we could add DeBose to this class, then I probably would be like, oh, all right, this is satisfactory. I thought of a great analogy for this, Dan. So I moved back to the area. I moved away and I moved back. And when my wife and I got married and wanted to be closer to family, and we had bought a couple appliances at Lowe's and a couple at Home Depot and so on and so forth. So when we bought this home, all the appliances needed updated. I went to my local one stop. They're the only one, mom and pop dealer, because you know why? I trust them. They service everything. I make a phone call and I talk to the same person. I talk to the same person in their repair office. And everything in my home came from them. I know their delivery driver because when he delivers, he's like, "Oh, hey, what'd your wife buy this time?" So like as a joke, and that they do a great job with sales and they communicate well, and so I bought from them, and that is the piece, that trust piece in the communication I feel like is missing with Justin Fry. And so I'll put it that way.
Yeah. And this is based on feedback that we've got from recruits, right?
We're not making
either directly or indirectly, mostly indirectly, but from people we trust.
So, yeah.
Okay.
So Sean, I appreciate the question.
Let me just, I want to emphasize this again. We currently have 3 guys in our class, and I might be wrong on this, right? What do we know about me? I'm not always right, but I'm never wrong.
Correct.
I am almost positive that there is not a single offensive lineman out there with an offer from us that's uncommitted at this point.
I'm not aware of one.
Which means we have 3 guys in our offensive class, and we're relying on flipping people. Ohio State, at any position, should never be in a situation where they're relying on flipping people to fill out their class. Not even fill out, but to fill out. We shouldn't be in that position.
No,
that's a problem.
The 2 that I know of is the kid that committed to Kentucky. He's an Ohio kid, I believe. And then
Project,
DeBose.
but huge.
Yeah, and then DeBose. So both
DeBose is committed though.
Yeah, both would be flips. That's what I'm agreeing with you. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Sean, appreciate the question, man. If you've watched this for any length of time, we're a little bit critical of where we are with the offensive line the last couple of years. So, but would I be okay with it? I guess I have to be. But so Cooper,
but it would be just okay. That's the operative word there. So Sean's question is, Is recruiting okay now? Yes, it's okay.
Yeah, it's okay. It's not elite. And you at Ohio State, we are elite.
Yeah.
Cooper Bucks, another dude, like, I love this guy. He's hilarious.
Yeah.
Great supporter of the show. We are lucky, to have so many people like him in our corner. And so thanks for always retweeting us. Thanks for the question too. So he had a couple. Who is a possible breakout player no one is talking about? And Dan, we've done some deep dives on our shows, so I feel like, coming up with another one was tough for me. But one person that, like, I'll just tell you to keep your eye on is Mitch Melton. Just watch for Mitch Melton. That'd be my one, Dan.
Yeah. Man, I want to try to give somebody obscure here, but it's hard because we've talked about people, and I think at this point, Arvell Reese has got enough hype that
everybody's buying up the Arvell Reese stock right now.
Yeah. Breakout player no one is talking about, like, not talking about, like, at all. We follow this so closely that we see people talk about everybody at this point, but I'm going to go Bennett Christian.
That's a good one. Really good one.
Okay.
Yep.
And for those of you that don't know who Bennett Christian is, he's a tight end.
Yeah. So he missed last year. He got something from GNC or something that had something that was banned in it, and so he had to sit out the whole year. A lot of hype around him coming into spring last year, and then he ended up having to sit out. Somebody I would say that if you want to look for somebody that's going to pop on your screen, probably in the second half of some of these games, Calvin Simpson-Hunt. Calvin Simpson-Hunt is going to get some run in the second half of some of these games. So if you were looking for, like, hey, no, nobody's really saying anything, is he going to push for start this year? No, but you're going to, unless there's some injuries. But if you wanted to see somebody that's going to pop on your screen, it's fast, long, and play good defense, Calvin Simpson-Hunt would be your guy.
And then I've got one I feel obligated. People will be disappointed if I don't mention this name.
Well, you got to say Jaden Ballard, but okay.
I'm gonna go with DB33.
Yeah.
I don't want to go too far into it because people will say I'm hating and things like that. But here's what I'm gonna say. Brown has raised some eyebrows in the Woody since Will was named starter.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if at first Will handled being named starter the way people would have hoped. I think it's been rectified, and I'm expecting big things.
Right.
But
well, we're not the only ones to say that. So the Podcast Daily, Dan, they brought up the fact that he hasn't
gone away.
They talked about Honda and how Honda was a very quiet leader, and that if Will didn't come in and command that room, Devin does. Like, Devin's fiery, he's vocal, he commands the quarterback room, he commands
players like
the
him.
huddle, players like him. And they basically said if Will didn't come in and, like, do that, Devin was. So this is not news. Like, you guys can go listen to that episode. Like, we're not the only ones saying this. We know this. Like, guys, you'd be shocked if we ever reveal who the people are we talk to about this stuff on the inside. So anyway,
we're not insiders. We're just very fortunate at this one moment in time.
We're not. So Cooper also wanted to know, and we broke this down one other time, who leads for yards at wide receiver, running back, and tight end group. This is really easy for me, Dan. Emeka is going to lead for yards because they're going to get him the all-time record. Running the ball, I'm going to say that Trey has the most yards. I think Quinshon Judkins will have the most carries, but I think Trey will have the most yards. And tight end, I'm going to say Will Kazmarek will have 28 catches for 300 yards, something like that.
Yeah. I agree on the wide receiver front, most yards, Emeka. Running back, I think that Trey will have the most rushing yards and Q will have the most receiving yards.
That's a good call out too.
And then I'm going to go a little off the grid here with tight end. I'm going to say Jelani leads the tight end room with yards.
Oh, that's a good,
because I can
like
see
it.
him. I can see him getting some like big chunk plays.
Yeah, I like it
with the twos, which would be, but then you got I'm gonna go with that. I'm gonna stick with that.
Yep. I like that. I like that call, man. That's a good one. I'm a big Jelani Thurman fan anyway. You keep that Glenville pipeline alive. So, outside of the Joe Moore Award, this is also from Cooper, does Fry survive in Columbus past this season? It depends on how this recruiting cycle ends up and how well the offensive line plays. But his seat is very warm.
Yeah, it's interesting. According to our buddy Sean, he'll be promoted to head coach if Ryan bolts to the NFL. I'm sorry, man. I'm just having fun with you. Ryan backed himself into a corner as it pertains to Justin Fry by creating the narrative around Perry Eliano that he was let go because of recruiting. It's a very, very similar situation to Perry, man.
Oh yeah.
Like Perry's position group, but he was there for 2 years, right?
Yeah.
Perry's position group improved year over year. The perception is he didn't recruit well, but Perry Eliano started to recruit. He was the first recruiter for Devin Sanchez, if I'm not mistaken, or he was at least talking to him.
He was in on him. Yeah,
he was in on it. It was a group effort. And Miss Sanchez will tell you that like Perry spoke to Devin at the beginning. I just think that Ryan handled that horribly. I think he should have been, a little bit more vague about it and not back himself into a corner for future conversations. I know sometimes it's hard to think ahead for stuff like that, but I swear, man, just saying that, there are so many things that these guys like. I swear I might start a business and going around and doing sales boot camps with college coaching staffs because they could benefit from sales skills 101 so much. Ryan should have never said that. He should have never given the impression that Perry was let go because of recruiting. Because now he's in a situation where, Fry could have an outstanding year on the field, but if we end up with 3 guys in our offensive line class, what's more important?
Yeah. So there's 2 things I want to say here. There's firstly, with if and when the NCAA expands their coaching roster, and it probably will be this year, I could see Fry surviving because they could bring in somebody that is an elite recruiter, and let Fry be, like co-offensive line coordinator or some BS like that to work with the O-line just specifically on development, and have somebody else recruit. Secondly, if that doesn't happen, or like the O-line just plays well but not great, there are some really prominent people in and around the program that give a lot of money that there'll be enough pressure. I don't think Justin Fry sticks around, and I'll just say it like that. And it's hard. This is tough. It's really tough. It's a tough question.
Yeah, I didn't even think about the booster thing. That is a very real issue. There was a lot of money allocated for the offensive line.
With what we know around the booster front, and some of the people we know, I could very much see that being at play. And I'm sorry to say that because, but that's a part of college football right now with the way NIL is. So Buckeye G, otherwise known as South Carolina Buckeye G, a great friend of the show, a great supporter. We appreciate him a lot. Like he's a really good guy, like a really good guy. He made some statements for us. So Dan, I'll just read through them as we're running out of time.
Some bold predictions.
And some bold P's. He said, "We will not give up a score in the first 3 games." I hope he means with the starting defense. will rank in the top 2 for defense in 2024. We better. We'll have the number 1 pass defense in 2024, and we'll have the number 2. Wait, that's the same thing. We'll have the number 1, maybe overall defense, or no, yeah. So number 2 defense overall, number 1 pass defense. We better, and we will not give up a score in the first 3 games.
He said number 1 pass defense and number 2 rush defense.
And number 2 rush defense. Okay.
Yeah.
I was typing that quickly, obviously. Yeah. All it takes is that somebody on the second team or third team to take a slant to the house, and you give up a score, man. So I mean, we can hope for that, but I do think that somewhere along the way, especially with the way that Western Michigan slings the football, something could happen. Ohio State, Dan, do you have anything to add to that? I don't really know.
No, I mean, I'm good with those. No score in the first 3 games. Are we talking no touchdowns or no, like, we're going to have 3 shutouts? Because that'd be like,
wild.
that's just so hard. I think people, no matter how good your defense is, I mean, last year we gave up 11.7 points per game.
Yeah.
And I don't think we had a single shutout, did we?
Not that I recall.
Yeah. So shutting people out is so hard. But I'm on board with all that.
Yeah, I'm good with that, except for the shutouts. That's tough.
Yeah.
Offense, we'll have the number 1 rushing offense. Okay.
Are we talking yards per game, total yards?
Yeah.
I guess it would matter.
Overall, we'll just say overall.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, some of the service academies.
Mm-hmm. Georgia Tech.
Yeah.
Navy, they run.
But we're gonna be vastly improved.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way. It's gonna be night and day.
Yeah. Top 10 passing offense.
I don't buy that.
Top 15 maybe. Top 10 stuff.
There's some programs out there that just, you know, throw the ball 80% of the time.
Yeah. Texas Tech.
Yeah.
Have 1 1,000-yard receiver. Yeah. Emeka.
So I would like clarification. Does he think that's good, or does he think that we'll only have 1,000-yard receiver? Because I think we'll have 2. I think we'll have 2. I think Emeka's there. They're going to get him that record.
Yep.
And I can see JJ or Tate both, either or getting 1,000 yards. I don't know if they both get it, because then you're talking about.
Well, then you're over 3,000 yards passing already.
Yeah, I mean, we were really close a couple years ago with 3, right? We had Olave, Wilson, and then somebody got really close. Was it JSN got really close? Or was it? Yeah. Actually, it was Wilson and JSN had over 1,000, and I think Olave maybe came up just a little short.
Yeah, I think he was over 900, but yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't know. Like, again, I don't see us having like CJ or Dwayne type numbers at that position this year. So that trickles
hard.
down.
And if you think about it too, like that, the 1 year we had 5 tackles that started, or 4 tackles or whatever that started on the offensive line. So they were great at pass blocking, but our running game was not awesome by any stretch, because they were just too tall for guards. Anyways, well, thank you guys very much for your questions. Friday, we'll be doing a preview of the Akron game. We'll talk a little bit about what Akron brings, who they are. They were 2-8, I believe, last year. They did not have a great year. I do think they beat Kent and won the wagon wheel, but if you're wondering, Akron is my alma mater. So anyways, guys, I appreciate you guys. Dan, any final words, man?
No, Friday morning could be fun. North Dakota State plays at Colorado on Thursday night, so we talked earlier about Colorado's season could implode.
Well, North Dakota State's they're going to win that game.
It's not an easy game. The amount of trash being talked by Colorado fans to North Dakota State fans is hilarious to me.
Well, they must not watch very much football, because North Dakota State can play some really darn good football. So
yeah. But
all right, you guys, we appreciate you. Remember, subscribe if you could, like if you could. Get entered for that Buckeye Corner gift card. We'll be back on Friday for a actual for real game week Buckeye Friday preview. So thank you guys as always. You guys have a good week. Stay safe and
go Bucks.
Go Bucks.